Alright, here we are back at the start. Like I said in last video was my initial reaction to this chapter, and now I'm going to show a complete playthrough of it. I recorded this using VBA's re-recording feature, so that allows me to go back and fix my mistakes without them showing on video. So most of this is going to be a success, even though there are definitely a couple failures in here that I will not hide from you when I'm commentating this. So my initial approach was very defensive. I was like, alright, I'm just going to rally defense, rally speed on the 3 units in the front, like where Lex and my Dancer are right now. Let the enemies come to me. And this is a good initial gut reaction that I have for most chapters, but it usually results in like very unsatisfying clears where you're just like always on the defensive and you're not able to get many side objectives, you're not able to get a whole lot of kills, and you're usually on the back foot, and usually the chapter is kind of built around the player doing this. At least that's my experience in Sun God's Wrath. You're never really allowed to just hang back and do nothing. So I took some time figuring out a more offensive approach. I mentioned in the Sun God's Wrath Discord that I was having a bit of trouble with the chapter, not to the extent I was like asking for people to just guide me through it, but more like, hey, I'm not a big fan of how this chapter plays or how I'm playing it right now, so it's going to take me a while to figure this out. That's why it took me so long to get these 2 episodes done, because this is a really daunting chapter. I went into this in depth in the last episode. I think the design is not bad per se, but it doesn't really work for Let's Plays when you just want to sit down and go play it. And I remember I was stuck on the prep screen for quite a while because preparation is the key for these kind of chapters. The approach that I decided would be the most effective was try to kill the initial dogs below the starting point using Astria, and I think I ended up using Lex for the other 2, as kill one, then Galeforce to the other. And then I think do a bit of rescue dropping to make sure I'm safe. I can also dance with Joanne on Astria and have her get another kill, and then rescue drop Joanne out of there, which is also something I'm doing, I think, so I can kill the Cyclops as well. Because like I said, the enemies in this chapter, they overlap in ranges quite a bit. So, for example, Astria right here, she's killing the Cyclops, but in turn that ends up putting her in range of 2 generals that pierce defense, and a couple Falcon Knights, or I think I called them Blacephalons or whatever, but you know what I mean. And that just like, that makes it really hard to go offensively because not everyone is able to reach those enemies. In fact, very few people are. I've heard that like some of the magic users you get can use long-range tomes to want to kill these enemies. I think with like Blizzard. I had a later attempt, or I did something like that later, but the magic user I used, I think it was Hawk, wasn't quite strong enough, so it didn't end up working out. Actually, I think it was Sakura. But yeah, use Lex to kill 2 dogs, dance Astria to kill the Cyclops, and then rescue drop Joanne in a more safe position so that she doesn't get obliterated, which is good. It's always good. These post commentaries are a lot more relaxed to record, I gotta say, but it kind of takes away the live aspect, so this way I was hoping to get the best of both worlds. But chapters like this way of recording is like much more time consuming for me, especially not even counting like the preps time it took me to get into this chapter. So I don't think I'll be able to do this for every chapter, and if I can record a chapter without this, I will greatly appreciate that. If I get another chapter like this, yeah, I'll probably do that again. At this point, I'm so far into Let's Play, there's no point in like not doing it anymore, but I've definitely considered that because as much as I gotta stress this, I really like this hack. I think it's great for picking up and playing it for fun. I think if I wasn't commentating it, I'd have a much easier time with it. And I really appreciate the devs' effort into improving it. Like whenever I brought up something and he thought it was valid, he just fixed it. And even the things that you know, he wasn't gonna fix, how do I put this? I would bring up something and he's like, yeah, that's the intended experience. He wouldn't fix those kind of things. And that's completely fair. I agree with that. You shouldn't change anything just because I'm telling you to, but I can tell he takes it into account, right? So here, in my initial reaction, I made the mistake of putting these 2 sages, the Ishtar clone and the Katarina clone, Erish and Waifu. I put them too far in, and that resulted in Mandrake, the guy that looks like Mulder, into using silence on them. And because he has an ability that lets him basically Galeforce whenever he uses his staff, that puts him even closer to me. So I go out of his range, but I do want Irash to eventually take out some dragons. Irash has a static tome, which is effective against them, and she also has adept, and I think pretty good crit. So having her able to do that is nice. These enemies are like so far away from my starting point and not really super concerned. One thing I think I didn't mention in my initial recording was the leadership proportions in this chapter. Both the player and the enemy have a ton of leadership in this chapter. Blademaster has 5 leadership, and then some of my units have like 1 or 2 stars as well, like Astria. And there's a couple more that have them. The generics also have like one generic leadership star each. So if you let them die, you actually have a worse time with the rest of the enemies. Individually, like, they don't matter much. It's like 3 or 5 hit and avoid per generic. But if you just let them all die without any concern for their health, then they die. And you also face worse hit rates, and you have worse hit rates yourself. So like, I remember, like I said, that you had like managed 25 people at once, and some people said you can just let the generics die, but I think doing that is not in your best interest. So I try my best to keep them alive for as long as possible, at least make use of them while they're on the field. They are like too good not to use. Like, you wouldn't want to move them back all the way, because then they're just not doing anything, and you'll probably face too many enemies at once. Also worth noting, promoted Roa with Nosferatu is really good here. This was an idea by someone on the Discord. I don't remember who said it, but they basically said, yeah, I usually send like a Nosferatu user to tank the wyverns on the right, and that's been super helpful because this is one of the few ways in this hack that you can actually survive an enemy phase. I remember Beryl was in this spot before in my initial recording, and he did fine at surviving, but he got put to sleep and very low on HP, and there was no one near him to help him, which was not good. Nosferatu is a much more self-sufficient way to do it. Roa has the con to use it without losing any speed, I think. I think mine got a couple level ups, and his promotion gave him a couple points as well. And now he's able to tank these just fine without needing healing. And he also has the res to potentially not get slept or silenced, which is good. I don't remember exactly if he's in range or not. I tried to manipulate them a bit. I took it into account, but there is just so many enemy ranges you gotta check. One thing that's not helping with this hack that I've realized that makes, for example, Fate's Conquest much more manageable to play is you cannot highlight groups of enemies and their ranges. You can't be like, okay, I want to see the range of this Druid and this Draco Knight at once and figure out exactly where to put my units so that they're in range of one but not the other. I have like different colors. That's really not helping in GBA Fire Emblem, and I wish that was the case. Again, shoutouts to Ishtar Clone for being super good and having the rest to take on this Druid while also doing some damage to him. A lot of this damage that these generics do just gets healed off, but I figured it was still better to, make him do something, I guess. But it's more importantly, it's just take out these dragons one by one, so I don't have to face them all at once. I didn't know at the time whether I was going to have to fight this group eventually with my main army or not. I was pretty much resigned to people like them just dying, but as far as I know, the generics, when they die, like, they wouldn't join you anyway, right? So it doesn't really matter if they die at some point, as long as you take advantage of the leadership for a while. Astria proccing her personal skill thing that she got to one around this ice dragon, very cool. So I don't think it matters too much whether they live or die, but I do want them to distract the enemies for a bit at least, so I don't have to face them all at once. Because I do plan to making my way over to bottom left corner eventually. I want to kill Pyron, get the boots, and end the chapter early. Fortunately, Astria faces a Mage Dragon, or a dragon with a Mage Stone. She ends up doing 0 damage too because these guys got like a gigantic res boost. Waste a couple uses of Fire Sword. I'm actually considering using the hammer that I'm getting this chapter on the Fire Sword because it's so low in uses, but I'm noticing that Astria is missing some skill like thresholds with the Thunder and Wind Sword and everything. I do still have her old Light Blade, and I have a new one from that sword as well. That cursed sword that's attacking me. So I might need to use that more often. I have a bunch of stuff lying around and just not using enough. So maybe I don't need the Fire Sword to repair, but at the same time I don't need the hammer for anything else right now. So I should just like use my resources more often. Like, I am trying my best to use the weapons that I have that are good whenever I can, especially like the generics right now. Oh, here's a silence on Evan. That's going to be pretty huge if it hits. But fortunately it doesn't. Thank God. That was the other thing in my initial attempt. It's like, yeah, Beryl got put to sleep. So might as well reset and try again, because there's no way I'm able to get a restore usage to him while still maintaining a good formation for enemy phase. Nice sleep dodge by Lex 2. 65 real hit. He's not easy to dodge, but he manages. That puts these 2 status staff users closer to my army, and makes them easier to kill if I want to. There's these 2 champions coming from the north as well, the guys that look like Ephraim. One of the things that bugs me occasionally about this ROM hack is that map sprites don't always match up with the enemies that you see in, where they were lifted from. For example, the Bone Walkers or the Whites have an insane amount of defense compared to like vanilla. So where you would normally be like, okay, that's just a Bone Walker, I'll just, tooth kill them with some enemy, and they just have 20 defense. It's like, oh shit, they have way more defense than expected. Nice growth on Turtle. Turtle is a very interesting generic. He's a Mage Knight with a Silver Sword, so he's like very strength based. But that comes in handy because a lot of the enemies here have high res. I'm also a really big fan of Good Guy, the Fenrir Druid that I have. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the map sprite things, they don't always match up. You got these like Phantoms, for example. They look like the ones that you summon in generic, like the In vanilla Fire Emblem 8, you have summoners and they summon these phantoms, but now they're just enemies and they have more than 1 HP. That throws me off a little bit. There's things like the Ephraims. That's how I got to the point to begin with. They have like 7 move and insane res. They're basically dread fighters, but they look like Ephraims, so these kind of things, I was going to make a video about this at one point. Oh, I get a support as well. I'm not showing off full support conversations for this, at least not this one, because I wasn't really too interested in it, and this video is very long already, so I apologize for skipping this one. I do feel that like in ROM hacks, I should probably show off stories and supports as often as I can. Here's an attempt at, you know, disposing of a Falcon Knight or a Blacephalon or whatever with the Fimbulvetter, which is supposed to be effective, but it doesn't have enough might to actually kill them, so probably gonna have to rely on a crit from Eresh if I want her to actually one-round this one, which I think I do, because that way I can use Recover with Waifu and use Good Guy to take out that last Ballista General, or Baron, I think it is, Colonel, whatever it is. God, Eresh is so good. I wish I got to keep her. She's so nice. I like her crit animation too. Very cool animation. But yeah, map sprites throw me off a bit. Not to the point where I play worse, but it adds up to all the other factors that make this hack slower for me to play. I'm purposely avoiding the word bad because I'm having fun playing this hack, especially when I'm killing enemies. That's super satisfying. But commentating it is something else in some of these chapters, especially this one. I'm going to try my best to avoid saying that again, because I think the point is crystal clear after I've said it like twice in this video already, and a couple times last video as well. But that's just how it is, and I gotta emphasize it. But yeah, generics don't get XP, they are level 20, that's why they don't get XP. Anyway, I'm trying to make my way to the bottom left eventually, but right now there's just too many enemies near the starting points. I gotta dispose of some bosses. This will, in some cases, it just makes the area less dangerous for me. And also, they have leadership stars, so taking them out means my hit rates will be better. And that's good. At this point, I turned the music off, and I'm probably going to put Marky Joe's theme in here, because even though I actually enjoyed this theme a lot more when I was listening back to the recording, and I was like, oh shit, why did I turn it off? But I also realized it was kind of getting on my nerves when I was playing the chapter. I had this with a couple tracks in this game. I remember the FV12 late game theme was in a couple maps ago, and it was this one particular bit, a couple of things here and there that kept being like, I don't really like this very much, so I just turned off the music for those. It also just makes it easier to do post commentary if there's no music in my ears, because I might accidentally hum along with the music, and that's very annoying, I think. I don't actually think anyone minds it, but yeah, new light blade because we killed this sword. He's actually pretty easy to kill, pretty easy enemy to kill here. So here we have like several enemies. I remember one difficulty I had here was trying to figure out how to dispose of that General Baron guy on the left, that Colonel. I can never remember class names to save my life. He's too strong for Derek to one round as he is right now with the Armor Slayer, as you can see. And if I weaken him, then Derek's personal skill deactivates. Like, for example, if I were to use Savage Blow with Ulysses, Derek would not do enough damage either. So, yeah, I had to figure out something else. I decided, you know what, I should use Ulysses to weaken an enemy here with the hand axe, and that will get Savage Blow activated on a bunch of these enemies to make them all easier to kill. But it's a very cramped area, so try to get rid of the Pegasus Knights, Blacephalons guys, because they're pretty weak, so I can kill them with Condor. Kill this one general with Ulysses after he's been weakened by Derek. Get a big Savage Blow on all these other enemies, and now they should be fairly easy pickings. I remember that Colonel being a little bit annoying, I think. I do this a lot with Blademaster. He has 2 tomes to do the exact same amount of damage, but for some reason I keep going like, okay, can I kill with this? No. Can I kill with the other one, which has the exact same amount of might? So I do apologize for that. A lot of the range checking and damage doing is actually cut out through the way that I recorded this using VBA's re-record feature. But there's still quite a bit of it because there's so many enemies and I have so many characters that I gotta check how much damage you do to each type of enemy. And because I cannot always rely on, you know, memory and the map sprites to like estimate damage without actually checking it, that ends up taking a longer time than I usually like. Thani is of course always very effective against these armored enemies, so we use one to take those out. But I cannot let Iris be exposed. That's Iris, right? That's her name, right? Yeah, Iris. I cannot let her be exposed to all the Ephraim champions, so I'm planning to put Exithia in front of her. Actually, I'm still 1 damage short with Bramimon. I think there was like a configuration I tried earlier where I could actually kill that guy with what I had. But Ryan with Thorin gets the job done. I think Ryan's not a temp because he is not level 20. He actually gets EXP, so I'm very glad to have him. The reason I'm trying like to kill these enemies with characters from my back is because I want to use Lex and Astria to kill the enemies that are in front, particularly those status staff guys and that wyvern boss that's coming in. So Lex manages to dispose of one enemy here. What's it called? Like a female druid. Astria, I think, needs a crit in order to one-round that druid. Maybe she can do it with the fire sword without, but I was being stingy with uses. I used Blademaster here to use Fortify on all my characters because a lot of them are weakened. I was like, you know what? They gave us to this. Like, the dev gave me Fortify to use it. I might as well do it right now. Using it right now is actually a bit of a mistake. I should have used it later because I'm going to attack that Manakete with Barrel. He's going to take a bunch of damage, and I could have done with healing that. I think I used it now because I think I pulled Fortify from something else. I think that might be the reason. Oh, I pulled it from Hawk. That's right. Never mind. I didn't need to use it now. Lex kills this other wyvern, gets him out of the way so that he can't threaten us. The thing about Lex is he's got to be very careful about the bottom right. There is a sage boss there, the not girlfriend of the brother that I killed in the desert somewhere. That guy or that girl has Meteor, and Meteor is horse effective, which means Lex gets one killed. Yay, we get a free red gem. Nice. I could actually use some money. I spent some of it in the secret shop. I think not right now, but I think later on I buy some things. Oh yeah, I actually need a crit here. Or some other kind of activation. But Astria has pretty good activation rate between her personal critical and her personal skill. I don't remember what it's called. So we get the silence guy as well. But I didn't need to get rid of the silence guy. He would probably just have tried to silence someone again, and I could easily have cured it at this point. But getting rid of him is nice. But I think Lex is like right outside of the range of that stage with Meteor right now. I think I don't actually end up killing her. She's like really far out of the way, and I wanted to concentrate on going left. I wasn't sure how much time I had to do it. The chapter ends in 10 turns, which is a lot. Here I realize, oh, I still got a kill Lance guy to take care of. I wonder if I can take care of him this turn. We still have Joanne to dance someone, and I think what I realized is like Beryl is kind of low on HP. Don't want him to die, so I'm gonna dance someone that can heal him. I think that ends up being Evan, because you know, he's someone I'm permanently using, so might as well give him some XP. As a reminder, staff XP is not a thing in this game. What is a Master Crown guy there? Did I actually kill that guy for a Master Crown? I think I did, because I think I mentioned during the last time that I was going to Master Crown extra people if I was able to, or if I thought it was needed for the chapter, but I only had 2 Master Crowns total, I think, so the only 3rd tiers I have access to at the start of the map are the 2 I did, which is Beryl and Lex. But honestly, I'm really glad I did both of those promotions. I kind of feel stupid for not promoting earlier now, but that's what happens when you have a game that's you're playing blind. First of all, I find that it's much more likely that you actually do things like hoarding when you're playing a game blind as opposed to when you're playing it for the second time. It's easy to say, just use your resources, you know, they're there for a reason as a non-blind player, because you already know what's coming, so you know exactly how much you need for which chapters. But I think you're subconsciously still saving some resources for certain points. Like if I'm playing FE5, I'm not going to spam the Thief Staff on everything I can. Oh, there's another Wyvern boss. There's a lot of these in these chapters, I feel like. But there goes Nail. Yeah, goodbye. I don't know who that was, honestly. Did we see him before? Nice level up on Barrel, by the way. But yeah, I think, like, for example, I'm not spamming the FE5 Thief Staff because I know I'm going to use it at certain points in the game. So it might be easy to tell a new player of FE5, like, hey, go ahead, use the Thief Staff on whatever you want. It's going to be fine. You know, the game gives you resources, might as well use them. But then if they use the Thief Staff on everything they want, as soon as they get Tina, they'll run out and they'll have to hammer in it. And then they might have already used hammer on some personal weapons because people tell them not to hoard. So, like, obviously there is extremes to this. Like, if you're not using the Killing Edge ever because you're afraid of using it up, then obviously you have a hoarding problem. But at the same time, I think it's important to remember that there's a reason that people save resources sometimes. That's because there might be a really good opportunity to use something. So, like, I've already, like, expressed slight annoyance by people going, whenever I, like, even dare to mention that I'm trying to conserve something because I just don't need it right now, people are like, oh my god, hoarding is a pitfall, Mecha, you're so stupid. And it's like, you know, you're probably missing the point here. Okay, here I tried to, like, bait this mage into putting Till 2 in Wrath range, but it didn't really work out. She didn't crit. I don't remember what the problem was. Maybe it's, like, below a 3rd health or something, Wrath, I don't remember. But she didn't crit and she died horribly, so I lose a leadership star there. That's okay, I was willing to lose her. I thought she might miss as well. I also retreated upwards a bit because I think Mandrake and some other people moved, so I didn't want them to die. I can only take on like 1 or 2 dragons at a time, I think. Aresh is not super good against tanking fire dragons. But yeah, this is probably the point where I should mention that this chapter was supposed to be like, for example, 2E from Radiant Dawn. That's what the developer said, Blademaster. And I think it captured that vibe to an extent. I like that he substituted the yellow units from 2E for mostly controllable leadership star bots, like good old boy Turtle over here, who's just one-rounding a druid like a boss. There are some NPCs that spawn just now, a bunch of Cyber dudes that are really generic, but they're nice distractions anyway. They don't make the game that much longer, and I'm glad I don't have to manage these. Like, imagine having to manage like 4 more enemy spawns or player spawns. So I think he captured the vibe very well. I think what makes 2E a lot more fun is, first of all, the music is a lot more uplifting. I think the song is either Bearer of Hope or this other really upbeat song that just makes the chapter a lot more exciting. This chapter's music, you don't hear it right now, but you heard it earlier, is a lot more filled with dread. So it feels a lot more daunting to play the map than it does to, play it fun. And also you don't have to you have the ledge advantage in 2E of Radiant Dawn, which I think is a very big deal. It gives you a lot of control over how many enemies you want to face. If you want to be more aggressive, you can go down 2 ledges and fight more enemies. But if you want, you can play it defensively as well. In this chapter, I think it puts you on equal ground with every enemy because GBA doesn't have the ledge mechanic. God, you just one round an enemy, Derek. God damn, you're so good. I wish I got you to level 20 though. But yeah, you have a lot more control over how many enemies you face, and I think that's a big thing that makes 2E fun, that this chapter is missing. I'm not saying that this chapter has to be exactly like 2E or that this chapter's design is a failure because it doesn't have ledges or anything. But what I'm trying to say is that there are factors in 2E that contribute to it being fun that this chapter lacks. And here we kill Mu, who I think was one of those guys that was with us when Beige betrayed us, and we haven't really talked to him. It feels like Johnny, that other guy that was like an NPC at one point that we had, or that was out there with us, and then suddenly he was betraying us and no one's really making remarks about it. I'm sure some people might have like boss combos with him, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get many of those. I think there's also a conversation between Joanne and Jill that I missed. I hope Jill was not recruitable because I didn't get him. I didn't bother to ask before recording this. But Jill is that the guy that looks like Denning, with the cape and the creepy eyes, the mannequin. I don't think I managed to kill him in this chapter. Spoilers. Lex right now is in meteor range, so I decided to use a rescue use with Brademaster. Kind of wish I used someone that actually gained XP from this, but again, we got Brademaster, we might as well use him. Now Lex is in range of 2 guys with weapons. I think it's like 1 guy that hits on res and 1 guy that ignores defense, so I thought he would take quite a bit of damage, so trying to figure out a way to barrier him. Probably unnecessarily, because there are 2 NPC Pegasus Knights that reinforce that have Sagittate that I think would be much more, viable targets. At least Pegasus Knights, you know the class I mean, the Blacephalons, that's right. So, yeah, I was supposed to barrier him, I heal instead. I didn't bother fixing my mistake, because I'm good like that. Level up on Evan, yay. I gotta say with Evan, Razor, I kind of wish I used it more earlier, because right now it's being really useless. This is also when I realized that I had a Dancer and I still have Barrel with like 9 moves, so I could just block the gap. I didn't need to keep him alive at all. Also, I think at this point, roughly, I noticed that I have the A support ready between Lex and Condor. And I was like, you know what? Well, I didn't notice it at this point. I'm going to notice it eventually during this long turn. I also feel that Joe, which you might not have noticed, but I need him for rally defense. I don't think Condor has rally defense, but even if he does, it's just not something that's usually on my mind. He also has rally skill. So I'm going to put Barrel in front of these boys and girls so they don't, actually kill Lex. Use the elixir that I traded to him, or use a vulnerate that I traded for his elixir, because I didn't want to use up my 1-use elixir for 20 damage when I don't need to. Again, hoarding, I guess. But yeah, we have the Lex Condor support, the A support that people have been clamoring to see. And yeah, I can't read it out here because it's going too fast for a pre-recorded file. But yeah, turns out that Condor is actually a beautiful woman. And Lex is like, oh shit, that's super cool. I actually love this reveal. It was spoiled to me by accident by someone on Discord, so I already knew. So I had to try my best to always call Condor a guy. You might have noticed it if you could tell. It's a funny support. I like this. Yeah, I like that reveal a lot. I don't know what that mommy is all about though. That's okay. What? Okay, all right. But I just really love the concept of Condor just hiding their gender like that, because he's not brave like that or whatever. That's super cool. Honestly, the best design, probably the most standout design in this whole game, Condor's is. Anyway, back to doing things. The Xithia murdered these reinforcement champions with the killer axe. It's almost out of uses, unfortunately. Might hammer that, might buy some new killer axes, I don't know. There's probably a shop somewhere where I can buy them, right? But I think plan on doing that, because Xithia with the killing edge does a lot more work than without it. Part due to personal skill and pursue critical. Also being promoted is helping. I think at this point I start buying something from the secret shop. I was like holding off because I forgot to put the silver card on someone, and I was half considering like resetting just to get that. And I didn't know what to get. Like all these things, they're like interesting, but I don't know how much I'm gonna need. I decided I have like one barrier and it's low on use, so I'm gonna buy one of those. I bought a dark spikes for Roa, and I bought like one restore because you can never have too many restores, I feel like. I remember having one restore staff and a lot more need for them at some point, so I'll buy a new restore staff and that's about it. At this point I have more units in the center than I need to do what I need to do. I cover the stairs with Roa, thinking there might be reinforcements from there, and if there's no reinforcements then it doesn't really matter where he goes. There's this scribe guy going nuts on my NPCs along with some of the summons. I don't really care about keeping the NPCs alive. Obviously there's no reward or anything as far as I know. The Air Knight distraction, make sure that Arish and good guy stay alive for a bit longer. I don't remember at this point, is Waifu, does she die? I don't remember. I hope she doesn't die. I like Waifu. She's a very interesting unit. Yeah, the generic Phobos guys, they go for the NPCs for the most part, so they're alive. I gotta say, it's still, my favorite NPC is still Chad. And when I say NPC, I mean the temp boys, the Sour boys. Chad is the most hilarious one. He has that weird, like, he has like a capability of killing a poison sword champion on turn 1 that I feel like it's almost baited, and I always feel kind of stupid when I just go for that obvious, like he exactly one-rounds him with the master sword, and like, am I being baited here, or is this what you're meant to do? There's probably like a better thing to do with him than just going for this poison sword champion. Oh, there goes Waifu, goodbye. Rip leadership star. But yeah, that was kind of inevitable. But I always feel stupid going for moves like that. It's like, I could probably do something more optimal than running away from the battlefield to kill like one reinforcement, but it worked out right, and he still made it back to like a relevant place, so I'm not feeling bad. Anyway, next thing on the agenda, we have to face 4, well, probably 3 Wyvern Knights, because the generic Syras just go nuts with Sagittae. And the screen scrolls around, but doesn't reinforce any enemies. I'm going to guess that either they were meant to reinforce, but there are too many enemies on the field, or they were meant to reinforce in a harder difficulty, but they didn't appear. And you can see I'm kind of confused by it. There is like a couple of entombs in the bottom right that are trying to sneak up on me. I think those just appeared, but other than that, I don't think any new enemies appeared, and I'm honestly happy for it. I think this chapter has too many enemies to begin with, a bit too much. But again, it comes down to whether you think this is good design or not. I think it's overall, it's good design, but not great design for Let's Play, like I said. So we gotta get some of these guys out of the way. I'm trying to make my way to Pyron without my units dying. That's the goal right now. I'm not super fussed about making a bunch of progress right now, because it's only, what, turn 5 or something? Turn 4. So we have some time. But I don't want to sit here behind a choke point with these enemies not doing anything. Especially because these enemies will probably not suicide. They'll probably go for my my green boys instead. Who do not do very much damage on enemy phase. The great thing about Lex is that right now he has like 5,000 crit for some reason. He has like 50 crit. I don't remember if he got that one skill, like critical force. I know Evan has that one. But for some reason he has a bunch of crit. This is good because crit is triple damage, and triple damage is always good, but it also means that setting up Galeforce for him becomes like a gamble sometimes. It's like, okay, if I crit I can kill this enemy, but I don't want to rely on him to crit, and if he doesn't crit then suddenly he doesn't have his extra move, and that's very bad. So I'm trying to figure out ways to guarantee that Lex actually has a kill set up for him. Backfire is here because Condor gets a crit herself. I call her now. And turns out that means that Lex has to kill a Wyvern now if he wants to get a kill. But you can do that just fine. He has a longbow for a reason. I should probably buy another steel bow for Lex. I think I sold like a one-use one that I had, and now he's stuck with like an iron bow if he wants to use a physical weapon, or that silly longbow that he has. So I'll probably do that. I have a red gem after all. I can probably afford it, and I can probably sell some of my other stuff as well. Like, I have so much shit in my convo right now. It's really insane. I actually remember people warning me that like, hey, you should make sure you have some convoy space for this chapter, because you get a bunch of items dumped in your convoy after this. Probably because the generics and the temps, they all dump their weapons into convoy, which again is a feature I'm very thankful for. Not having to trade those around to my other units is very nice. But yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that I can at least kill some of these enemies, or at least be safe. The problem is a lot of them are in range of Mandrake and the stupid Master Axe, which 2 shots just about anyone. Pyron is also there. He only has 3 move, but he's still a bit scary. I want to be in his range. But the Master Axe is what I'm most afraid of, because he does a lot of damage. He has like 5 different skills that I don't remember off the top of my head, but they are all very, very scary and very, very, very annoying. I like the one that just prevents him from taking damage at 2 range. That makes Lexus completely useless against him, for example. Barrel, my other best unit, doesn't even have a ranged weapon, so it doesn't affect him very much. But it sucks. I think they also both have Nihil, so that stops something like double line from working. So here I'm taking a bit of time to think and figuring out some good moves. Because if I don't kill these Draco Knights and this Bolt Sword, I think it's called a Dread Fighter, they might kill me. So I don't know how long I'm going to take my time to think, but enjoy the music while it lasts, I guess. I'm actually going to edit this part out. No, I'm not. Okay, never mind. We're doing something here. Okay. And yeah, everyone else is kind of playing catch up. At this point I realized there might be an opportunity for me to sub kills for Joe or some other unpromoted unit like Ulysses. So I go for it. Because like I could just put Joe in a spot, right, where both of these Entombed will attack him. And I know he won't run on KO, but a cheap XP is still XP and he can kill one in the next player phase when we have a dance to get another kill. Something like that, right? Turns out if I let him do that, he will get murdered by Meteor. Like Meteor will just completely obliterate him, because I forgot to kill the Meteor boss to make that safe. So I can't do that. And that's why at the end of the turn, I decided, you know what, I have 2 Dragon Veins left. There's one near the bottom, where those Entombs are, and there's one near the starting points where Daedalus is just kind of chilling. I could just use a Dragon Vein and stop a lot of these enemies from advancing. It will also keep Turtle alive, potentially, along with Eresh, because, I mean, you can see how many of the enemies there are right now, how much damage they're taking per hit. They're not going to last long if I don't use Dragon Vein. So I might as well keep my leadership stars around, and knowing that I would use the Dragon Vein now, I should have moved way differently on the last turn, because the Dragon Vein stops Pyron and all these like enemies from moving. It stops Mandrake from moving, so I could move a lot closer, knowing that that's going to be the case. But yeah, I used the Dragon Vein. A late decision, and one of the reasons that these maps are very planning heavy, right? Because whether you're going to use the Dragon Vein or not is not something you should decide when you've already moved like 20 units. It's something that you play your whole turn around, because all enemies being frozen, that changes everything. That changes everything you're going to do in a turn. And I should have just done it from the start, honestly, because there's not that many turns left, especially with me using the Dragon Vein. But yeah, you see Joe takes a bunch of damage from the Meteor anyway, because he's still in range of that. Dragon Veins don't stop you from attacking, they just stop you from moving at all. So they basically reduce your move to 0, but you can still attack if you got someone on the range. You can still use a status staff, you can still heal someone. Those are still all options. Doesn't save Turtle though, he died. Rip Turtle. Should have turtled less hard. The NPCs not stopped by Dragon Veins, they will just get some more Sagittates in. This one Druid is kind of weird. She just heals Astria's 1 HP instead of attacking. Thanks, very cool. Actually, that's not very weird, I think they only have Physic. But yeah, that's still kind of whatever. So at this point we get like 5,000 more reinforcements coming from all over the place. At least that's what it looks like. I don't see like half of them, but I know there's some enemies that appeared, like some Entombs on the far right. And I think there's like a general that came out on the left. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to deal with that. I think the way that I decided to deal with this was, okay, I'm just gonna kill Pyron before the enemies come close to me. That's like the best way to do this. Lex gets a lucky critical on this Bolt Sword guy, Dread Fighter. So now he can like fuck off out of Mandrake's range if he wants to, or he can come closer, kill another enemy. Both of these are viable options if I can get him out of range, because I'm pretty sure Mandrake 2 rounds kills him, and if not, Pyron is also like there, and not close enough to attack him from far. Pyron has 1 to range, but yeah, see, he doesn't reach. So we're gonna have to pick up Barrel and move him further away. I think at this point my plan was to bait Mandrake using the NPCs, because I don't really care if they live or die. The green ones don't even have leadership stars to worry about. So from here, I think it's interesting to consider if I should have maybe split my team up a little bit more, sent some people to help out the NPCs at the top. I think the way I did it has a nice advantage in that, sure, it probably results in the death of more generics that could have preserved some leadership stars. At the same time, it's really nice that they're distracting like a whole bunch of enemies, like all these reinforcements and all those dragons that just went up instead of at my army. It's just so nice that it didn't come to me. And I mean, I didn't try any different complete approaches. This was like the first attempt I did, and I never got into trouble to the extent that I felt like I had to redo the whole thing. But if you wanted to like optimize your XP gain for this chapter, or you know, keep more guys alive, you know, increase reliability, especially considering the leadership stars that the NPCs have might go to waste. I keep saying NPCs, but I mean the generics. I mean, when I mention leadership stars, you know I'm talking about the generics, like Ishtar Clone and Waifu and stuff. I think if you wanted to preserve those for these boss fights, then the approach I take is definitely suboptimal. But I was just pretty happy to be done with this chapter to begin with. So yeah, bury up Astria, expecting her to have to do some work. At the very least, I don't want her to get affected by anything from here. But I don't think Pyron or Mandrake hit on resistance, other than Mandrake's Silent Staff, which doesn't affect Astria at all. At this point, I'm pretty much resigned to these NPCs not managing to kill these enemies, but I'm going to run away with Ishtar Clone to make sure that these enemies go after her, rather than coming back down to annoy me when I'm taking down Pyron, because I'm assuming I'm going to need every hit point I can get. I'm going to have Roa take care of these entombs with Nosferatu, probably necessarily, and I might want to save some Nosferatu. It is a pretty good weapon for him. Notice that Jill is moving up and then right. Mandrake goes for silence, and this scared me a lot, because now he gets the Staff Savant move again, Galeforce thing, and he's like right in front of my army with his Master Axe in hand. Like, he can kill plenty of people, I'm pretty sure. But I think he has at least one more use of silence left, so I know from Donan's playthrough at this point that enemies that can kill someone but also have status staffs usually have their AI prefer to use status staffs, so I'm still hoping that this will work out. But yeah, Jill is moving, he like moved up towards where the generics were, but then he started moving like back down again. Also, because Mandrake used silence, I think that also procs Pyron to moving, either that or it's just because it's this turn. I think there was like some dialogue either now or upcoming this turn where he's like, yeah, we should go ahead and crush them. Mandrake goes for a second silence on this generic druid and misses again. So very fortunately, he's now right in front of me. The bad news is he's very hard to kill, especially since I need to preserve some, you know, some methods for killing Pyron himself. If I don't kill Pyron, I might be in very deep trouble. Also, this stupid NPC went in my way, and there you go. There's the dialogue. So he said the flow of the battle is going a bit too well. Hey, 2 bosses, retreat to Elementals, because it's going too well. And we need to, like, stop something to do with Zalmoxes. So Mandrake just retreated. Cool. We don't have to deal with him. Unfortunate, because I kind of wanted to kill him. I don't really like him. Also, a bunch of reinforcements appeared, including like 5 people around Dexitia, and she's not super great at taking their hits. So if I want to survive this turn, my best bet is probably just kill Pyron. Probably, because killing him ends the map. I had this confirmed to me. It's pretty obvious when you look at the chapter objective. It just says kill Pyron or defend for like X turns. But Pyron, as expected, as like the main antagonist of this game so far, for what I've been able to tell, he's not going down easily. Like Beryl, my best unit so far, is doing 7 damage. I think Lex gets 1 out by him. He doesn't get to use double line. Astria, on the other hand, she does 20 damage with her Cosmic Eye alone. The Cosmic Eye doesn't double. It also cannot crit. I'm actually considered using Bramimon to weaken him, because I was like, you know what, Bramimon is a temp, I don't care if he dies. Then I realized, oh shit, right, Bramimon, if he dies, gives the game over, because he's kind of important and stuff. So that's not gonna work. So unless I'm using Bramimon to finish him off, which I don't want to do, I don't want the boss XP to go to waste like that, I can't really use Bramimon. It has to be Astria. Astria alone with a dance can do 20 damage. Turns out that the Chad can do the remaining 20 damage that I need. Because Astria can do 20 damage and then 20 more with a dance. So the Chat can actually help us out here with a double bolt. Actually do more damage than Beryl, believe it or not. So thanks Chat for being a Chat. You were a true MVP. I think, I'm looking at this. Maybe Ulysses and like Savage Blow could have done something if there was another enemy nearby, but there is not. So I think my best bet has to be good old Reinhardt. Let the battles begin. A 93 hit is pretty good. I didn't want to sacrifice Reinhardt because he has leadership star and this will reduce my reliability for later attacks, but he was pretty much the only option I got. So thanks for playing, Chad. I was glad to see you. Do we get a Pyron crit here? I think we do. I don't think that was a crit. Anyway, nice emblem sword. Too bad we lose the chat. At this point I can get some other kills. Jill is still on the map, but I can't reach her with Joanne, which is why I missed the conversation. Again, I hope I didn't miss anything too important there, because it could have been nice for some backstory at the very least. Maybe I'll go back and check it out. Maybe use some cheats, because I don't think I have. I can use them. I can play one of these movies playing back to this point. Maybe use warp to get the convo. Maybe I'll do that. If it recruits him, then you can probably expect him to like see him in my things next chapter. But seeing Jill's personality, I'm pretty sure he is not a recruitable guy. He does not strike me as very sympathetic or anything. But you know, he is a Manakete, and so is Joanne. So they might have something in common. Anyway, Astria versus Pyron, obviously. Way over her head, but still more capable than anyone else when it comes to damaging Pyron. So here we go. Cosmic Eye. Supernova level animation, honestly. Takes 20 damage. In return, he's going to do 40, so Astria can finish him off safely with a dance, because, I mean, she's not going to get countered or anything. But I think I decided to heal her anyway, because, you know, might as well get the heal XP. We're going to get some more quick XP, because at this point I know I'm going to kill Pyron no matter what, so I can safely put Lex out here without worrying about his life. I know Jill, for example, has like a tone called Jurassic Wind that has like an exclamation mark next to his name whenever I try to select the units, so I know it's dangerous in some way to Lex. Maybe it has crit, maybe it pierces defenses. Either way, it's probably bad for him. Right now, the stupid Siren Druid is in my way of getting an easy rescue drop on Astria while putting her in range of Joanne or my other dancer. So we have to figure out a way to rescue drop her out of there, while also feeding some kills to other units. I decided to use Ryan to weaken this one terror so that Joe can get one kill at the very least, which I think is enough to get him a level up at least. Again, just more evidence that I need to finish the map on this turn, because if Joe stays there and doesn't get healed, he just gets murdered by Meteor. But from here, I rescue drop apparently. I don't remember exactly. Oh, it's because that way I can get Joe another kill, I guess. Yeah, that's why I did it. He's kind of low in health, so hopefully I don't die here. Okay, he's fine. I just need to weaken this enemy. It's easy to do. I can just do that with Iris. That's fine. Okay, yeah, I was just trying to set up another kill for him, because I don't think he leveled up quite yet. He needs another level. And then from there, I could probably promote him and actually have him do stuff that's not self-improving. Like, self-improvement when you have, what, 4 to 5 move at this point is not easy. Especially when you're not, like, it's not a given that he doubles anything. Enemy phase, yeah, with quick riposte, but without enemy phase, no. These are Entombed we're talking about. So Irish, not going to attack with her because she doesn't gain XP, she doesn't stay, and I think the static ends up in my convo anyway. So now it's just a matter of how do I get the Druid out of the way and then still have enough people to have Astria be danced for. And that's not that difficult. Brian Mons cannot rescue that Druid though, so we do it with Condor. And from there we just have to grab Astria with Ulysses. We can drop her with Beryl or anyone else who has the con. Astria's actually gained a fair bit of constitution over the course of the game, so the light mages are generally not able to do this. But Beryl, you know, buff as he is, he's like 27 con or something dumb like that right now. He's easily able to do that, so we heal Astria. I think she didn't even get healed enough to the point where she would survive another Pyron attack, but it's not like it matters at this point. Yeah, I think she has exactly 4 HP actually. Yeah, she does. So, an exact kill. Good thing Pyron does not have Pavise or anything as far as I know. And now we see the Supernova crit. I call it Supernova because the animation is so damn long. It doesn't change too much. I think Astria's animation, like her map sprite or her battle sprite changed, but not much else did. But here we go. There's the kill. We kill Pyron. We get the Swift Souls. No, Zelmox still remains. And turns out in this story, Pyron is actually dead now. I don't know how much this changes. It probably doesn't change the whole lot in grand scheme of things because the chapters obviously have to be the same. But I think it changes what the bosses that remain do. Like, yeah, Jill's like, okay, he's been killed. This is the fall of splitting his power while alive. At least we were able to recover the fragments of his power. We can revive him in elementals using the remaining fragments, but doing so will make him much weaker, but we have no other choice. Keeping up with the dialogue is very hard, because I wasn't reading it out when I was playing this chapter. But yeah, we're going to teleport now. Brian Mond and this one assistant of his are going to clear this whole chapter, the rest of this, because Pyron is dead. Remy, that's his assistant name. Pathetic. Let the two of us wipe out everyone else here. Zelmoxis needs to know how weak Pyron has become. I don't remember who Zelmoxis is. And then we get this guy, and this guy. We get not Zeke, and not the Death Knight. With, I think, Athos' background music from FE7. And he talks like a robot. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. Let's That's the level of writing I was kind of expecting from The Last Promise or something. But okay, we're probably gonna have to kill that guy. Might be one of the last bosses that we're gonna see, honestly. But yeah, that was chapter 18, the Space God. It's actually a lot of fun to commentate and ramble over it without having to concentrate on the gameplay. So this format works for me. It's just, it takes a lot longer to both play and then also have to commentate it afterwards. Plus I have to record it twice. I have to record the moves and I have to record the whole thing. So you won't see it every time. But if I get another chapter like this is probably how I'm doing it. Anyway, see you guys around. Peace.